It was the kind of late-night segment that echoed far beyond the polished walls of a studio. When Stephen Colbert, known for his razor-sharp wit, took aim at Meghan Markle during a recent episode of The Late Show, the fallout was swift and shockingly revealing. Colbert's monologue, laced with scathing humor and damning implications, called out what many critics have long whispered behind closed doors: that the Duchess of Sussex has carefully constructed a media-friendly persona that doesn't hold up under real scrutiny. And judging by Meghan's reported outburst following the segment, it's a portrayal she's no longer able to control. Colbert didn't mince words. Without the usual Hollywood varnish, he pointed to Markle's frequent contradictions, tone-deaf interviews, and what he referred to as her platinum-tier victim narrative. He highlighted the infamous Oprah interview where Markle claimed she and Prince Harry had been married in private 3 days before the royal ceremony, only for official records to later contradict that claim. When the truth gets in the way, Colbert quipped, there's always a Netflix special to rewrite it. That punchline wasn't just a laugh line, it was a brutal truth bomb. Meghan and Harry's $100 million Netflix deal, which promised authentic storytelling, has often been criticized as more PR stunt than substance. From the Harry and Meghan docuseries to Archetypes, the Duchess's Spotify podcast that fizzled out after 1 season, critics have pointed to a pattern: grand promises, self-serving narratives, and little in the way of factual consistency. And yet, what made Colbert's takedown even more effective was its foundation in verifiable fact, not tabloid conjecture. He brought receipts, clips, quotes, and public contradictions. He cited Meghan's lawsuit against the Mail on Sunday, where her own former communications secretary testified that she had authorized the leaking of private letters to the press. He referenced her now infamous speech at the 2021 Women's Vax Live concert, where she called for global vaccine equity while flying private and living in a $14 million Montecito mansion. Meghan's response, as insiders have claimed, was anything but graceful. Sources close to the Duchess say she was livid after watching the segment, reportedly calling it a betrayal by the American media establishment. Her team is said to have contacted CBS, attempting to pull clips from YouTube and limit syndication. An ironic move for someone who claims to champion freedom of speech and transparency. This reaction fits a broader pattern. Time and again, Meghan has positioned herself as a victim of press intrusion and royal silencing. Yet she routinely courts media attention. Whether it's a staged photo at a veterans memorial on Remembrance Day or an accidental paparazzi shot while hiking hours after King Charles's cancer announcement, the optics are always curated. And the moment scrutiny follows, it's met with allegations of racism, misogyny, or colonialism, a rhetorical deflection that has become all too predictable. Colbert's satire hit a nerve not because it was cruel, but because it was calculated and truth-based. He didn't invent scandals, he reminded audiences of them. He echoed the growing sentiment among former supporters that Meghan Markle's narrative of being silenced is contradicted by her never-ending media blitz. More telling still is how little the royal family has said in response to her many accusations. Queen Elizabeth II, with classic understatement, once said recollections may vary in response to Meghan's claims during the Oprah interview. That single line did more to undermine Meghan's credibility than any tell-all book. And now, with American commentators like Colbert joining the ranks of skeptics, the tide may finally be turning. Even liberal outlets like The Atlantic and The Washington Post, once sympathetic to the Sussexes, have begun questioning their motives. Articles now probe whether their activism is performative, whether their escape from royal duties was more about profit than principle. As Colbert joked, when you flee from oppression to a $14 million mansion in Santa Barbara, you're not a refugee, you're a brand. It's a sentiment that's gaining traction. Public opinion polls in the UK have long shown declining favorability for Meghan, but recent US surveys suggest a similar dip stateside. Her perceived opportunism, contradictory statements, and media oversaturation are taking a toll. When Stephen Colbert, a bastion of progressive satire, calls you out, it's no longer a partisan issue, it's a credibility one. In the end, Meghan's fury at Colbert's roast is less about the insult and more about the exposure. The carefully constructed facade is cracking, and no amount of polished PR or glossy magazine covers can plaster over a public that's growing increasingly skeptical. If Meghan Markle wants to remain a public figure, she may need to confront a truth more uncomfortable than any late-night joke. The American audience is finally asking for authenticity and not the kind that comes with a Netflix contract. The deeper issue for Meghan isn't just a bruised ego, it's a loss of narrative control. For years, she and Harry have curated their public image through carefully choreographed interviews, documentaries, and speeches designed to position themselves as modern-day revolutionaries standing against the archaic royal system. But Colbert's unfiltered segment cut through the performance, revealing the dissonance between Meghan's words and actions. It's no longer enough to cry foul when challenged. Americans, once captivated by the Sussex fairy tale, are waking up to a pattern of strategic victimhood and commercial opportunism. The emotional appeals, the tales of palace injustice, and the constant rebranding from royal rebel to Hollywood humanitarian are losing their luster. The tide has turned from curiosity to fatigue. Worse still, Meghan's aggressive response to criticism only reinforces the perception that she cannot withstand scrutiny. If she truly believes in authenticity and transparency, as she often claims, then now is the moment to demonstrate it, not with another headline-grabbing appearance, but with silence, humility, and substance. Because in a culture that values resilience over resentment, no amount of public sympathy can save a brand built on contradictions. And in today's media landscape, authenticity is the only currency that still holds value.